What if everything you thought you knew about life below zero was only half the story? At 62, the legendary Sue Aikens finally confirms the rumors that fans have whispered about for years, and it changes everything. From near-death bear attacks to vanishing off-camera, her journey is more brutal and more inspiring than you ever imagined. And she's not the only one. In 2025, we've lost some unforgettable cast members. This isn't just survival TV's real life, and for some, the stakes were fatal. Stay with us, because what we're about to reveal will leave you stunned. Born in 1963 in Mount Prospect, Illinois, Sue's life was anything but ordinary. Her parents divorced when she was just 12, and her mother decided to move them far, from the urban system of Chicago to a tiny remote outpost north of Fairbanks, Alaska. Not long after, her mother left, and Sue, still just a young girl, was completely alone. For 4 years, she survived without a legal guardian, living in a subarctic semi-desert with no access to social services, learning to rely on herself and only herself. That early trauma shaped everything. In her own words, she learned to eliminate the expectation of long-term human connection. What others might call loneliness, Sue called strategy. Over the years, she moved through places like Bettles, Coldfoot, and Wiseman, slowly carving a life in isolation until she finally established Quebec Station in 2002. She wasn't running from the world, she was building her own. In 2013, viewers got their first glimpse of Sue Aikens when Life Below Zero premiered. Instantly, she became the soul of the show. While others lived in family groups or small communities, Sue stood alone. No neighbors, no help, just her, the cold, and whatever she could carry. Out of the show's 254 episodes, Sue appeared in 242 more than any other cast member. Her segments were the longest, her challenges the most intense, and her voice the most unforgettable. But what viewers didn't see was the toll it took. In 2015, disaster struck. During an emergency snowmobile run across unstable terrain, Sue was in a severe accident. She suffered a broken collarbone, a dislocated hip, and extensive soft tissue damage. It was a life-altering moment. The pain didn't go away. Worse, doctors warned her of severe osteoarthritis if she didn't undergo reconstructive surgery. Still, she refused to leave Quebec, insisting that no one else could run the station. She lived with limited mobility for months, alone, wounded, but determined. Finally, in late 2021, after finishing filming for season 19, Sue underwent extensive surgery in Washington state. For 6 months, she vanished from the show. No explanation. Behind the scenes, she was fighting not just to recover her body, but to hold on to the life she had built. She later admitted in a private interview, "There were days I didn't want to go on. I was locked in my own body." At one point, she considered pulling Quebec's main fuel line and walking away for good, but she didn't. Instead, she adapted. When Sue returned in 2022, she was different, more methodical, more self-aware. She transformed her way of life, shifting to a low-energy circular system, integrating new technologies like climate monitors and snow pressure sensors, and altering her routine based on medical data and circadian rhythms. Every part of her day, from exercise to breathing, was designed around healing. It wasn't just about survival anymore, it became something far more intricate. For Sue Aikens, living in Quebec River Camp evolved into a finely tuned system of science, strategy, and unshakable discipline. After her surgeries and near total physical breakdown in the early 2020s, she realized that brute force wasn't enough. She had to outthink the wilderness, not just withstand it. She created daily routines synchronized with weather patterns and her medical data. Her living environment became an experimental ecosystem, where even breathing techniques and light movement had a strategic purpose. Sue Aikens wasn't just surviving, she was rebuilding herself from the inside out. But while Sue was orchestrating a remarkable personal transformation, the outside world whispered with morbid curiosity. In 2022, rumors of her death began surfacing across social media platforms. Reddit threads questioned her absence. YouTube thumbnails flaunted misleading headlines. TikTok videos speculated she had disappeared into the snow for good. Fans panicked. Some feared she had finally lost the battle to her injuries. Others claimed she'd died off camera, silently, as legends sometimes do. But it was all false, As of 2025, Sue Aikens is very much a live-in, still thriving in her corner of the Alaskan wild. She posts regular updates to social media, showcasing her continued work at Kavik. She's begun training a successor, preparing for a future where the station can function even during her absences. Not because she's backing down, but because she understands the strength in delegation the wild taught her about limitations. Now, she works with them, not against them. And if anyone doubts her toughness, they need only look back to 2007. That year, Sue was attacked by a grizzly bear while collecting water. Without her rifle in hand, she was vulnerable. The bear lunged, crushing her hips and biting her skull. The injuries were catastrophic. But she didn't scream, she didn't panic. She played submissive, confusing the bear long enough to escape death. Then, she sewed her wounds, hunted the bear down, and killed it. And for 10 days, she waited alone, bleeding, isolated in the Arctic, with broken bones and open wounds. And still, she lived. That is Sue Aikens, the woman who doesn't flinch, who doesn't surrender, who rebuilds again and again, stronger each time. Today, she continues to manage Kavik River Camp, though her time is more carefully divided. She's capped her stay to 210 days per year and now owns a second property in Talatna, Alaska fallback cabin, where she monitors how her body responds to more temperate climates. It's not a retreat, it's research. In March 2024, after decades of living alone in one of the most remote and unforgiving places on Earth, Sue Aikens proposed something extraordinary, transforming Kavik River Camp into an official environmental data station. It wasn't a goodbye. It wasn't retirement. It was evolution. After 45 years of survival, of solitude, of proving that a human could live independently at the edge of the world, Sue recognized a truth many refuse to face. Even the strongest must eventually shift gears. But in true Sue Aikens fashion, it wasn't surrender, it was strategy. Instead of walking away, she began building the future. She launched a dual supervisor program, mentoring a hand-picked successor who would eventually take over key operations. Every tool, every system, every protocol was passed down with care. But she didn't give up controls. She adapted it. "This is not withdrawal," she said. "This is knowing my limits." That quote now stands as a symbol of wisdom born in the Arctic, where limits are life or death, and self-awareness is often the difference between the two. Her limits, by the way, still stretch farther than most people's wildest dreams. Since Life Below Zero began, Sue Aikens has earned more than $2.4 million. But what she did with that money says everything about her character. She didn't build a mansion. She didn't disappear into luxury. She reinvested every dollar back into Kavik, installing renewable energy systems, upgrading food storage, and pioneering long-term sustainability infrastructure. In a world obsessed with fame, she turned the spotlight into a power source for something greater. Despite scaling back her on-screen time, Sue's presence on the show remains unshakable. In 2023, she requested that certain episodes be pre-recorded to accommodate her recovery schedule after surgery. The production team didn't hesitate. They adjusted the process not to preserve her celebrity, but to protect her health while maintaining the authenticity that viewers loved. This was no vanity project. This was real life, and Sue demanded it remain that way. Behind the camera, Sue's legacy grew even more powerful. In her 2025 media statement, she wrote, "I do not intend to become an icon, but Kavik needs someone to keep the image true to its nature." That single sentence now appears in the Arctic Residency Program's honor roll, where Sue Aikens is officially recognized as the first person to complete 45 years of continuous biological activity in extreme isolation. Names like Chip and Agnes Hailstone, Jesse Holmes, and Andy Bassich have all contributed their own chapters to the story of life. Below Zero, each faced challenges that would break the average person. Each brought a different kind of strength to the screen, but make no mistakes, Sue Aikens was the heartbeat. She didn't just survive Alaska, she mastered it. She didn't run from fear. She made solitude a form of strength, not suffering. She turned pain into fuel. She turned isolation into clarity. After all these years, Sue Aikens doesn't remain at Kavik to impress anyone or prove anything. She stays because it's where she belongs. Because in a world of shortcuts, likes, and filters, she is proof that some people are just built for the extremes. A fighter who carved her place in the frozen wild, who never needed help, and who redefined what it truly means to live off the grid, Sue Aikens is more than a survivor. She is a living legend. So the next time you watch Life Below Zero and you see that endless stretch of snow, the wind battering a tin rooftop, a figure trudging through white silence, remember, that's not a character. That's Sue Aikens, and she's still out there. Thanks for watching.